set of tyres on. Those with all the gravel stuck to them have been put to the back of the garage, and he is going to be accelerating out of here in a moment. Just one thing I should tell you guys, I'm looking up in the sky, and you know, we've had this suggestion of rain. There are a lot more clouds, and the temperature I've seen on the big scoreboard down there has dropped by about 4 degrees, so maybe we might have a little twist in the tail to this race yet.
Still 2.5 hours remaining. Sarthe fires up the Zytek and is gone. Well, we continue to tell you the story in GT1 because it's a thrilling one. Corvette versus Aston Martin. Pleased to say that the American team, the Corvette boys, are on top, and this man could get the hat trick today, Brian.
We're certainly looking for the hat trick, Lee. One of the most interested spectators, this man, Ollie Gavin, standing outside looking down the way, seeing if he can see what's happening with Aston Martin. You and I were talking, you said it always comes down to this.
Yeah, it does seem to. It's this last 3 or 4 hours. Well, this race seems to be the most grueling. It's when it gets the hottest, and it seems like Aston have run into some problems again like last year, but it's you know, I don't want to gloat about it. I don't want to sort of say, well, you know, told you so, because stuff can still happen to us. There's still a sprint race to go, 2 hours and 40 minutes or so, and all kinds of things can happen. But we're pretty much in cruise mode now, and Jan's been given the word that what's happened with the Aston, the lead Aston, and I'll be going in for the last stint to get the car to the line. So I'll be given a stern talking to from Mr. Feehan and Mr. Wozolowski, so I'll be on my best behavior.
You almost seemed disappointed when I came down here and I said it's a clutch, they're not going to be out for a while. And you said, yeah, that's the car we've been racing against all day.
We want to race, and we have raced hard for 20 hours, and it's been fantastic. And it would be great to, you know, have a final lap duel with them, as long as we won. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen. So, you know, if we end up getting it, then great.
And you know that feeling because you used to fight these guys in a Saleen.
Yes, I did indeed, and they were always beating us, and they were always so strong. And I'm just so pleased I'm on this team now.
If you can't beat them, switch. But the most important thing, like you said, the 24-hour race, we still have the regular sprint race distance yet to go.
And a big pat on the back to the other half of the Corvette garage, because the 63 is back on track. Johnny O'Connell is behind the wheel after those gearbox issues. It's fixed and going again. Well done, boys.
And they've cleaned it up. They've taken the bad bodywork off from this victory photo at the end if they should get it. That's the American way. That's Corvette racing. Now they've got the 63 back on the track, and it's looking good.
And that's the kind of pride that exists within that garage. They do not give up, and they always present a brilliant-looking race car, if not a victorious race car. So mixed feelings within the Corvette camp, but it should be celebrations in 2.5 hours' time. Tonight, NASCAR Victory Lane takes centre stage right here on Speed from 8 Eastern. Pop the cork and break out the confetti as John, Jimmy and Kenny discuss the highlights of today's race from Michigan. Plus, today's winner climbs out of his car and onto the set for a post-race interview. That is NASCAR Victory Lane tonight from 8 here on Speed. Class-leading car exits pit lane once again, going from strength to strength. The 64 Corvette has a 5-lap lead over Thomas Enger's 007. Yes, that's right, the 007 has moved into second place. And let's bring you up to date with some highlights of GT1, because it started in a tough way for the 63 Corvette. Johnny O slamming the barrier in possibly the scariest part of this track at the Porsche curves. Darren Turner in the 007 had a sump problem, oil everywhere earlier in the race. Oliver Gavin got punted off the track by a prototype, and that cost him the lead of the GT1 class. They pitted very closely together, and that is where the race really began. And then just recently, in the last 30 minutes, a clutch problem for the 009. Stefan Ortelli, Stefan Sarrazin, and the guys running into problems, and that handed the lead to Jan Magnussen, and they now celebrate a very convincing lead in GT1. The hat trick, the three-peat could very well be theirs. This car with Thomas Enger, the first ever Czech driver to compete in Formula One and a winner of GT1 here at Le Mans. 5 consecutive poles for Thomas in class, and he is now in 2nd place courtesy of those clutch issues for the 009. Once again, Dorst just underscoring it is never over until the checkered flag flies.
And 2 hours and 24 minutes is a very, very long time, just short of a normal sprint race back in the United States.
Well, while we talk about Corvette and victory, possible victory, this is the class-leading car in LMP2. Tommy Erdos is behind the wheel for RML, but they have a very comfortable margin over the American team of Miracle Motorsports. They've got many laps in hand. Just wanted to get back to talking about Corvette and victory. 5 years ago, Ron Fellows, Johnny O'Connell and Scott Pruitt won the team's first 24 hours of Le Mans. And the program manager, who we talk to all the time, Doug Feehan and O'Connell, reminisce about that win, which came in only the 2nd attempt for the team. Quite remarkable.
There isn't a race in the world that I have more respect for than the Le Mans 24-hour event. It is the most difficult race on the planet.
And it's not common for an American team to come to Europe and, and really take on Le Mans.
And why have they done it? Because it's a global brand. Hence, they come to the Le Mans 24-hour race to demonstrate how successful their machinery can be against the world's best.
Over there, it's all, tinier engines that whine, but, you get a big old American V8 roaring, and, you're standing there in the pits, and the crowd, every time the car goes by, are just going wild because they love that deep, V8 American sound there.
In just its 2nd attempt, Corvette Racing swept the most difficult race on the planet.
Here I am at this huge, daunting place, a place where legends have been made. And you're competing here, and now you've won. You've won. And you're thinking, how can this be?
It's sweet, boy. You walk out there and you have all these, the crowd is just going nuts. And you look out there and it's as far as you can see. I was wise enough to bring my digital camera up there, and I, put my arm around Ron and took a picture of us, so I got that.
We were confident in our ability. We were not at all confident what the outcome will be. As anyone who goes there will tell you, you can't be. You can have the best drivers, the best car, the best team, the most money. Without good luck, you're not going to win.
And I know it's early in the morning where he lives, but I'm sure Scott Pruitt is watching, so we say hi to Scotty. And happy memories there, that's for sure. This is the class-leading car, the overall race-leading car, the 8 of Marco Werner. It has led since the 3rd hour. And just to finish off that lovely package about Corvette, that's their success rate here at Le Mans ever since 2000. Pretty impressive. That is a record to be proud of. Werner doing it easily. Still leads the Pescarolo of Frank Montagny by some 4 laps. So no worries here. And history will be created in just 2 hours and 20, I should say, if the R10 can stay there, to be the first diesel-powered car to ever win this race. Of course, there has been diesels compete here before. We've mentioned that throughout our broadcast. But in their first attempt, Audi could win the big one. So much work has gone into that car. And Henri Pescarolo and his men have really thrown everything they have at it. Still, time is on their side, coming up to 20 minutes till 3 local time. And it's great to have both Corvettes back on track. Back at Le Mans, the 74th running of the Michelin 24-hour, and the sun is shining, although the clouds are building. I think we may get away with it, though. Rain is on the way, but time may be on our side as the Pescarolo Judd continues to pound around. And you have to say that the more preferred car of the Pescarolo pair has been somewhat outdone. The 17 with the superstars in it, Montagny and Loeb, as there is a local yellow. What's this for? We saw the Team JLOC Lamborghini Murcielago running slowly. May have just been some debris in that section of the track.
That
the 17 Pescarolo has certainly outperformed the 16.
The Lamborghini did pull off. Lee, driver got out, had the door open. They didn't. He was trying to get it back, but it didn't make it. So it's parked out there somewhere.
Well, as a professional racing car driver, if someone said to you, how would you like to run the Indianapolis 500 and Le Mans 24-hour all in the 1 year, or basically a month apart, you would jump out of your skin, I'm sure. Well, our next guest, Corvette Racing's Max Pappas, has done just that. Hi, Max. How you doing?
How you guys doing there?
We're doing okay. How about you, mate? It's been an eventful day.
Absolutely. You know, as you said, you know, it's been definitely eventful for the 63 car. You know, we started with a crash with Johnny. You know, we had a clutch problem with my car when I was driving it. You know, now we had another gearbox problem, you know, but, you know, the guys in the Corvette team just recovered brilliantly out of all of this situation. And again, you know, if we had to be steep, it was definitely steep this way.
Yeah, it has been a tough one. Hey, I mentioned Indy in the introduction there. How was Indy for you?
No, first of all, you know, it's just great to be over here in Le Mans with the Corvette organization, and the Indianapolis was fantastic, you know, driving, you know, again, for Eddie Cheever, you know, in 1 year, I've been able to do Daytona 24-hour, Indy 500, Le Mans 24-hour, and again, you know, one of my goals is winning Le Mans. I guess that this year, you know, we don't have a chance, but we're going to come back. But it looks very good for the 64 car. And by the way, this is my only time in 6 years I'm going to be racing, you know, without my wife, Tatiana. She's home, and I want to send my best to her and to all my, you know, animals and friends at home. You know, we have a little, like, farm in the house, and she's not, you know, that's Happy Father's Day. That's awesome, you know. It's actually, you know, my first Father's Day. That's the reason why Tatiana, she's home, you know, because in 4 weeks I'm going to be father for the first time with Marco, and I want to say hi to everyone over there.
Well, we should say Happy Father's Day to B, Max.
Thanks a lot, and I tell you guys, you know, it's been an unbelievable race, you know. We've been pushing so hard. You know, we've been pushing so hard. I'm drained. You know, everyone in the Corvette team is drained. The 64 guys, I was talking to Olivier Beretta before. He was so tired. You know, we have to drive the car 110%. And I think, you know, this pays off, you know, but definitely takes a lot of effort, you know, in the cockpit, you know, with over 120 degrees, especially now, right now, it's really, it's not a walk in the park at all.
Well, Max, you've seen it before. In a race like this, you just can't give up. No matter how many cards are dealt that are wrong cards for you, you got to work your way through it. Just keep on going.
You know, Dorsey, you said it right. You know, the situation here in Le Mans 24 hours is that you need to work the traffic. You know, you can't wait for things to happen. You need to go and get it. And that's what we try to do, you know, on the 63 car and the 64, the Corvette organization, you know. We are not passive. You need to be active. You need to be aggressive. You need to play traffic like if it's a 3-hour race. You know, those seconds of in and out lap, they count a lot. And you can't just think about it like a 24-hour race. You need to think about it as a sprint race. Use every moment you have in the car. And actually, you know, we were talking about that before, you know, think about it, you know, about half an hour ago, I was in my room with Olivier Beretta and said, we lost it in the night, you know, we went out, we were, you know, he said, in and out lap, we had some issues. And after half an hour, there they are in the lead. So, you know, you should always think positive in this race.
Hey, Max, on a light-hearted note, I know that you guys have been staying here above your hospitality suite. You've all got your individual rooms, and I heard a little bird told me the other day that the boys were having some fun with you because you've got a brand new Trek bicycle, and you didn't have the right tools to put it together, but they thought they'd try and have a ride of it anyway.
Absolutely. You know, it was a little bit of an issue. You know, Olivier Beretta was teasing me, and he tried to put the bike together, and I told him, that's not the way you put it together. You know, you put the seat backwards, and, you know, they put the picture of my 63 car upside down in my room. You know, we are a great family. You know, I tell you guys, if I can't win the Le Mans 24 hour, I really wish, you know, Olivier, Oliver, Gavin, and Jan can do it because, you know, we're really, really close. I know that, you know, as a racer inside of my heart, it burns that I can't win. But at the same time, you know, it's, I know that it's going to be my turn sometimes, and I'm not 90 years old yet.
Corvette really has a special place in your heart. Tell us about your own personal 58 Chev.
Yeah, he said it right. You know, Corvette is something special. You know, when I came over to America, you know, I always had a dream. And my dream was my 1958 Corvette. Actually, when I started to make some money, I bought it. I bought this before getting my job with Corvette. And when I went over in Sebring testing for the first time, I wrote it out. And my chief mechanic, Doug Lau, told me, Max, you didn't have to rent it. We were going to give you the job anyway. And I told you I didn't rent it. I bought it about 4 years ago.
Well done. Thanks for your time. And we hope it's a smooth passage for the next 2 hours and 10 minutes home. You deserve it.
You know, we really hope, guys. And again, you know, you guys are awesome. You are making so good for the sport. You know, 24-hour race live. I know it takes a lot of effort, not just in the car and out. But you guys are awesome. I'm really proud of being here. And again, you know, hopefully it's going to be my year next year. But you know, let's keep our finger crossed so that it's going to be the year of Corvette. And again, ciao Tati, and hi to everyone at home in Miami, in the United States. And thanks for the support. I love you all. Thanks.
Good stuff. Max Pappas there from Corvette Racing. Yes, it does take a lot of effort, but the good news is Dorsey's buying all the beer tonight. You beauty. Don't forget today, AMA Superbikes, 4 p.m. Eastern, right here on Speed. They race into the fabulous Miller Motorsports Park in Salt Lake City. And not only will that venue host 2 wheels, but 4 wheels going there as well later this year. And as always, the AMA Superbikes are ones to watch. Good news here for the 009 Aston Martin DBR9. It is out, finally, after losing so many laps and the lead in GT1. But the idea is to get to the finish. Andrew.
Lee in GT2, solidly in second place, a completely private Panos. This is one of the last year's cars that Team LNT bought. They always used to run TVRs. Lawrence Tomlinson, who owns this team, is a huge enthusiast for sports cars. Tried to race here at Le Mans with TVRs. That didn't work. Now he's come with this Panos, some very good driver lineup. Lawrence is driving, but he's also got Tom Kimber-Smith, a young man who's come out of Formula 3 racing, and indeed the very experienced Richard Dean. So those three are driving this car in second place at the moment. But in a couple of years' time, I can see we might have a new British manufacturer here, because Lawrence Tomlinson recently bought the little British sports car manufacturer who've done a lot of racing in their time, Ginetta. You see their logo right down here. So I suspect that in the back of Lawrence's mind, he's here with an American Panos and doing a great job this weekend. But in a couple of years' time, he could be here with Ginetta.
Well, the disappointment for Peterson, White Lightning, and Krone Racing has given us an opportunity to inform you guys at home about what it takes to come to Le Mans. Now, their car crashed out earlier in the event, but look at what's going on in the garage. They've got to clean up all this stuff and take it home. This is how all of their equipment got here. This is how all of it's going back. All of these crates are going to be full. You can see them sitting around. Look at all the stuff that has to go in. Spare parts for the cars, shock absorbers, office equipment. All of these tables are going to have to go as you come back through. Rear bumpers, body work, all kinds of parts here. You can see the boxes stacked up. It's just like they're moving. All of these toolboxes, now this probably isn't going to go home with them, but all of these toolboxes are going to have to go home, as well as all of this stuff over here. You can see they're all boxed up, and eventually it'll go in this trailer out here. The guys tell me that all of this stuff takes up 38 feet of a 52-foot moving trailer, so it's just like moving your house. And just like moving your house, the car will also be chocked full of boxes as well. When they leave here, this garage, it'll be as clean as the bald spot on the back of Calvin Fish's head.
Hey, Brian, if you jump in one of the boxes, they can ship you on back to Mid-Ohio. You live right down the street.
So, a premature end there for Peterson, White Lightning, Krone Racing. And we spoke with Dale earlier. It was pretty upsetting because those guys have won twice here in GT2. And this is what it has taken them to get here monetary-wise, which is pretty staggering.
And let me tell you, that's without paying any of the drivers. They didn't want to show driver salaries. So your $958,000 you can add to substantially putting over $1 million to make this one race as the cost of doing business.
Just getting back to Andrew's story about that Paynos team, the Team LNT, the British entry. I can remember Tom Kimber-Smith from British Formula Ford. He only did his first GT race at Sebring this year. He's done Sebring and he's done Spa with the LMS, and now he's here at Le Mans already. So that young British driver has got a good future ahead of him. Second generation driver too, if I'm not mistaken. As we climb on board the Corvette, let's take a ride.
Saw him right there take a handful of what I think is probably brake bias, reached up on the dash, gave a half a turn to the right, which probably is adding some brake up to the front, taking some away from the rear. You see the sequential gearbox, little effort there. You don't see him tugging and bashing away on it, do you? Look at that. In his eyes, total concentration of the driver. They don't, you don't know it, but you don't even blink. Checks the mirror there for anybody coming up from behind. That wonderful 7 liters, 427 cubic inch of V8 power. The way he uses partial throttle through the S's, he just blends the throttle to kind of even crescendo. It's the Porsche curves as he goes in there. He just kind of matches the amount of throttle with the speed of the car. It's not an acceleration nor a decel.
From Johnny O'Connell on board the awesome R10. Enjoy the ride.
Listen to the difference in the diesel, how quiet it is compared to that big thundering 7-liter V8.
Well, it was short-lived.
Yeah, we don't have a control over that, unfortunately.
It was good while it lasted. Well, it's been been fabulous to talk to and to have so many guests down in the Peterson White Lightning camp. And joining us now is Danny Panos, who, of course, is the son of Dr. Don. And, Danny, thanks for joining us here on Speed. And I'm sure you're thrilled, as we are, to see a Panos running in second in GT2.
Oh, absolutely delighted. Fingers crossed, because it's not over yet. But we're thrilled to be here. And Team LNT is doing just a fabulous job. And it's their first year running a car. And I don't think we could be more pleased with the job that they've done.
Yeah, you get a thrill. You still get a thrill out of a custom car doing well.
Oh, in many ways, it's almost better than perhaps a factory effort, because it's somebody else taking your product and again, going out and competing against the world's best, some of the great brands, and showing that there's still a place in this world where the little guys can compete against the big guys. I think it's great.
What a lot of our viewers may not know, because always your dad has been the face of the American Le Mans Series and always the face associated with the cars, but back in Georgia, you're the man who actually got your dad to get enthusiastic about cars, actually still when you were living back in Ireland, wasn't it? And you're in charge of the road car division. Tell us how that's going and the status of things.
Road car business is going fine. Establishing a brand, as you can imagine, in the States, difficult thing to do, and it's not something you do in a year. But we've been building road cars since 1989. Don's done a tremendous amount for the brand by taking it racing, starting in 1996. This is our 10th year here at Le Mans, and perhaps our best class finish, fingers crossed. So we're working hard, building cars, building great cars, and that's what we do. That's our life. It's what we see doing for the next long time to come.
Have you been here each of those 10 years, Danny?
I haven't actually got to come to all of the races, but I've come to as many of the races as I can. But very often in the road car business, you got conflicting schedules and other things you want to do.
Dan, any new cars on the horizon? Anything you're looking at doing, projects coming up?
Well, I think there's a couple of great brands have put forth a theory of evolution, and I don't think you'll see radical changes, but you'll see a very solid evolutionary change with what we do with our product. We'll keep it very much a Panos format, and I think if you keep watching us, you'll just see it evolve over the years.
Dan, thank you very much for your time, and we wish you and the brand and Team LNT well for the next 1 hour, 55 minutes. Hope it goes well.
Thanks so much.
There he is, Danny Panos, and there is a lot on the line for that car and the familiar note of the Elan power plant, that's for sure. We'll have more from Circuit de la Sarthe. You're watching the Michelin 24 Hours of Le Mans. Reminding you that Monday here on Speed, we go inside Nextel Cup from 7 p.m. Eastern. Dave, Kenny, Michael and Brian take the jostling for position off the track and on the air. And they will analyse absolutely everything from the previous weekend. That's inside Nextel Cup right here on Speed from 7 on Monday. Take a ride with the Audi. Bet you've never been in a diesel this fast.
No, not at 200 mile per hour back there. And the noise you hear is wind, not the engine, just a little engine noise.
As you can understand, some link breakup. They're at the far part of the circuit, down into Indianapolis, the run up to Arnage.
Yeah, it's about 8 miles away from us, or not away from us, with this 8-mile lap. 5,000 revs on the big V12 diesel, 5.5 liter. Of course, this is a paddle shifter, not like the trucks at home. You just pull the little lever and it shifts for you.
Look at this, Porsche curves. This is awesome. course, this car, the Audi R10 TDI, was built to win Le Mans, and they are well and truly on track to do that. Now, in our part 2 of the series, Andrew Marriott takes an in-depth look at the challenges of the development and the rollout of this marvelous machine.
To have it won 5 times is for sure a great result for a company like Audi. We are now a part of the history book of Le Mans. The new challenge with the diesel engine is a new start for us for Le Mans, because it's a completely new project, a completely new car, a completely new engine and gearbox concept. It's a big target for us, but this makes it interesting.
For the past 2 years, the major focus for the employees of Audi Sport has been a diesel-driven sports car, the Audi R10 TDI. A very special moment during the development of the car, the first time when the 2 major components are finally bolted together, the engine and the chassis. The combination has already gone a long way. It has grown from conception to construction and turned into superbly crafted parts, the result of hundreds of hours of skilled labour.
To do an engine, to develop an engine, which is the first engine and the first time that an engine like that will win Le Mans, this is a specific challenge, a specific personal challenge for me, and I'm pretty sure that this will not end our motivation to develop further on engines. There's always, the next engine is always the most interesting, and there will be one behind this diesel engine, I'm pretty sure about.
But it would not be Audi Sport if the challenges had not been accepted with pleasure, and it would not be Audi Sport if all the parts did not match perfectly, and of course they do. Now the recent fusion of engine and chassis needs to go into the wind tunnel. The aerodynamic characteristics of the combination will be explored and analysed in the most exacting of detail.
It's a project which has no predecessor, so you have to define something, you have to go new ways in any case, and in the end, if you see it's grown, it's going on, that's just an absolute top feeling.
The very first tests in the tunnel are arranged and personally supervised by none other than Dr. Wolfgang Ulrich, head of Audi Sport.
I think we have had a lot of experience bringing the R8 on the racetrack and then make it a car that is able to win through 6 seasons. So we learned a lot, and we tried to take all these things we have learned and put it into the new car. So I think from this point we have quite some experience, but as I said before, basically the complete car concept, because of the diesel engine, has to be a little bit different. So to bring together the experience we have and the demands of the completely different concept are a challenging work, but all the projects that we have done until now came to a good result very quick.
From Nicholson via Ingolstadt to Paris, the Audi R10 TDI is presented to the world for the very first time under the shadow of the Eiffel Tower. While this groundbreaking machine makes its first public appearance in Paris, it is to the southwest where the most important chapter will be written. For Audi are the first manufacturer to take turbo diesel technology to the Le Mans 24 hours. Where the journey will finally end, no one knows. But for certain, the Le Mans 24 hours is the most important destination.
Well, where the story goes, we almost know, and we will in 1 3/4 hours, because it may very well end on the top of the podium. Victory on debut for the diesel-powered Audi R10. This is the 7 of Alan McNish. Car currently runs third. Here's the Panos we've been talking about for Team LNT, currently second in the GT2 class.
I was going to say before at the end of the windshield there that the hood was trying to fly up. You see they've done a duct tape job on it. It was breaking off. I saw while we were looking at that car there, it looked like a piece of, like it had a bag under it or something like that, and it was breaking away the corner of it, and they've fixed it now, so that's good.
Still in GT2, Patrick Long is lapping in the 4:10s. That is an incredible lap time, and they are within 3 laps of their nearest competitor, chasing down that Ferrari 430 of Scuderia Ecosse. He's lapping 11 seconds faster than the competitor in that Ferrari. Long is flying. Speed's coverage of the Michelin 24 Hours of Le Mans is brought to you by Porsche. Porsche, there is no substitute. By Valvoline, tested on the track, trusted on the road. And by Rolex, a crown for every achievement. Welcome back to Le Mans. Earlier today, Sunday Mass, public Sunday Mass held up on the hillside. And it was a Sunday Mass with a difference, a little bit of groove, a little bit of feeling in keeping with the spirit here at Le Mans.
A high-speed Mass.
It certainly was. Up on the stage that has seen multiple performers over the years. We welcome back. Yes, that was the familiar voice of David Hobbs. How you been? You well rested, ready for the finish?
Oh, yes, sir, Bub. Had my 99th meal on the Audi hospitality suite, which is very nice.
As we view Bill Binney's team, the American/Scottish effort with the veteran Japanese driver, and right on cue, here is the other American entry, Miracle Motorsports. Ian James, Andy Lally, John Macaluso. It looks like Ian in the car to me at the moment. They haven't plugged in their transponder, and that then doesn't come up with the correct driver on our screen. But looking from that helmet, it looks like Ian James. And these guys are headed for a podium in just their second appearance at Le Mans. Fabulous effort in the Courage.
And it's not easy for them. They're struggling, actually. They got to keep coming back to the pits to repair a massive oil leak. They don't know where it's coming from. They just keep dumping more in there, and it keeps dumping it back out.
Looks like something's falling off the back, too, there. Part of the bodywork coming adrift.
Ron Fellows there on the right side of the screen. Ollie, Gavin to the left.
They're preparing for their last stint. Ollie will go all the way to the checkered flag. And Ron Fellows, who knows what it's like to score victory here at Le Mans, wishes his younger teammate all the best for the final hour and a half of this event.
It's a special honor to be able to take that checkered flag. Of course, you share it with your teammates, sometimes 2 other teammates, sometimes 1 in David's day. And it's an equal effort, but the guy who takes the checkered flag has the most emotion, I think.
Absolutely, yeah, there's no doubt about it. And, of course, Ron Fellows waiting until he can get Johnny O'Connell into the hotel room tonight and discuss the strategy of the previous day's race.
As we enjoy this ride with Corvette, just updating you on an overall position. The second Pescarolo with Nicolas Manassian at the wheel has moved into 5th position. 325 laps in the books compared to the race leader Marco Werner at 353, but at hour 8, they were 38th, so that is quite a comeback.
Now there again, sort of shows the difference with, I guess, the budget. It took them an hour and a half to do their gearbox. It took Audi 9 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the Audi come with a pack. I mean, they just took the back off, new box in, on the go.
I can't help but thinking that Andre Pescarolo's down there in the pit thinking, if those stupid Audis hadn't come here, I'd have a 1-2 right now.
2 years in a row.
2 years in a row. I mean, he tries so very hard. He hasn't won yet as a car owner, but boy, what an effort he's put up so far.
Speaking of that French challenge, and I mentioned yesterday that there was a press conference earlier this week that Peugeot are coming with a new prototype. It will be a coupe. It will have a roof on it. And just when I was leaving from one of my shifts yesterday, I bumped into former Honda F1 Racing test driver Patrick Lemaire. And I said to Patrick, how you doing? Doing any driving at the moment? He said, no. And I said, well, maybe Peugeot an option? He said, I would love to do it. I've been speaking with Jacques Villeneuve about doing it next year. And then just the other day when I was leaving the hotel, Olivier Panis happened to be checking in. Stay tuned, stay tuned. And he said he and Jacques have been working on Olivier Panis to convince him to make that threesome to come and do the race next year for Peugeot. How about that? That would be fabulous.
That would be a strong driver lineup, but of course that's what they're going to need, because if Audi stay around, you can see the front fender on the 24 car is having a bit of a derangement there as the slats have come unglued.
Now, as Johnny O'Connell brings the Corvette in to hand over to Ron Fellows, we're getting an update on the GT2 class-leading car. Dominic Farnbacher and Cycle Porsche may be experiencing some gearbox problems. So, right at the end when it counts, after a stunning run, they may be faltering. That is Johnny's day done.
There was a last lap was a 440. And the Panos' last lap was a 4:21, and as you just said, Patrick Long's doing 4:11, so big gaps there in that GT2 class.
Make that 4:09s now for Patrick Long. He is hammering.
That's only 2 seconds slower than his fastest lap of the race.
Brian.
63 Corvette is in. Johnny O'Connell out. Ron Fellows is in. This will be the last driver change. Fellows will take it to the checkered flag, they hope. I talked to Dan Binks, who's the crew chief on this car, all of the team working so hard on it. I said, Dan, with all of the equipment that you guys have, you have the best of everything. The only thing I haven't seen in this garage is quit. Where is it? He said, quit doesn't exist here at Corvette. That's what we do. We work to race. We race to live. That's what we're doing right now. We're going to see the checkered flag in this thing, and that's exactly what they're trying to do.
And you know that it's got to be hard to strap in for another hour and a half of hard work when you are not in contention for victory, but they will still power to the end, no doubt. Let's get an update on the 83. Here's Andrew.
Yes, indeed. I've just been talking to Horst Farnbacher, father of Dominic, and a good driver and team runner in his own time, but Horst tells me that this car has no third gear. They're keeping everything crossed. The idea is now for Dominic just to really go slowly, but of course obviously maintain that lead so they don't have to make a pit stop. They have 8 laps currently on the Panos, but of course you never know what might jingle around in that box and suddenly jam everything up, so they're really on tenterhooks down here at the 83 car.
Of course, you always wonder if you've lost third gear, where did you lose it to, and what's it going to do?
It's lying around in there somewhere, or bits of it are.
As Andrew correctly pointed out there, 8 laps the lead margin for this car over the Panos, so they've got plenty of advantage going into the final stint of this race.
But an hour and a half with gear pieces floating around is not promising, believe me.
Bit of a hold up here. And this is a fabulous day for Corvette. While there are mixed feelings in that garage and mixed fortunes, to say the least, let's not lose sight that that hat trick is on the way for Ollie Gavin, Olivier Beretta, and Jan Magnussen. Time for a break. When we come back, Bob Varsha will be in the chair to take you to the checkered flag. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Le Mans, entering the final 90 minutes of our live speed coverage of the 74th Michelin 24 Hours of Le Mans. Hello again, everyone. I'm Bob Varsha with David Hobbs and Dorsey Schrader up high. Just saw the Corvette pull out into pit lane, and there is the race-leading Audi R10 flashing past. Here's a look at our class leaders with the time remaining, as you see, less than 90 minutes now. The Biela Pirro Werner car has been basically bulletproof throughout the entire race. Unlike their teammates, still the number 7 car runs in 3rd place after a long 24 hours, sandwiching the crowd favorites from Pescarolo Judd. In P2, Andy Wallace stands to rack up another Le Mans victory, this one in class, sharing with Thomas Erdos and Mike Newton in their Lola 4-cylinder turbo. Andy Lally of the United States in the second place car, the 27. They have had their problems as well. This race is far from over for all of the names you'll see here on your screen. In the GT1 class, the amazing story of Corvette bouncing back in the late hours at Le Mans once again to top the ProDrive Aston Martin. The 009 car actually led that class up until about an hour ago when a clutch problem put them in the garage. They now run 8th overall and out of a podium position in class. Oliver Gavin is in the car right now in the lead position. And in GT2, that 83 Porsche, we understand, may have some mechanical problems on the horizon.
Actually, it's being shown stopped at a Marshall station out on the racetrack.
Whoops.
So it might be a bad moment for the Farnbacher Porsche.
Here's Alan McNish in the RT10 twin-turbo diesel that he started the race in. Put on pole by his teammate Ronaldo Capello. Of the 50 starters, 23 are now officially retired, including 2 of the American-based team. Peterson White Lightning Racing after contact with the wall in a chicane during the night. And the Multimatic Panos, the team is still scratching their heads over how they managed to run that car out of fuel on course. 7 other U.S.-based American Le Mans Series teams still out there, including the boys from Corvette Racing.
Well, we wondered how long those gearbox bits would be before they jumped up and did something. I'm afraid to think that that's exactly probably what happened to Dominic Farnbacher. He's pulled off the circuit, and he's on the outside. He's actually just past Arnage on that straightaway, and that's a long way from here.
Well, the next car up will be the Panos in the hands of Richard Dean. They have completed 300 laps, the 83.306, so everybody's going to be watching the timing screens as the number 83 cycle Porsche cycles backwards. And what a thing it would be for Don Panos on the weekend of his 10th anniversary at Le Mans, given the Spirit of Le Mans award for contributions to the sport, and now he has a chance to see one of his cars win.
Wow, and then the Ferrari, the number 87 Ferrari would then end up second, which is another 9 laps back, and Von Overbeck in the 80 Porsche, which had a very checkered race, would end up third.
On board with Ron Fellows, flashing under the Dunlop Bridge.
Getting some good onboards now. This is through the S's. Now you rejoin the old track through that last bit of S. Run down to Tête Rouge, which is now sort of a double apex right-hander. A very quick corner now. It used to be much more of a right-hander than that, a right angle than that. Run down those trees that have been there for 60-odd years. Didn't used to be any guardrail in front of them in the old days, just straw bale and paint the bottom of the trees white.
And Andrea Boccini being called in the 007 Aston Martin, currently running second in class to the other Corvette as you watch Ron Fellows in the office.
And I personally wonder, when Ron got in the car for this final stint, if it would be his final stint here in Le Mans. It's been conjecture about his retiring.
I thought about that too when I saw him hugging everybody in sight, shaking hands with his co-drivers. It definitely had a look of, it's been fun, boys.
Only Ron knows that answer to that question. He's not made any announcement, but
we've talked through the 24 hours about this Corvette group and the camaraderie, the family atmosphere. Before the race ever began, they all wandered down a few garages to the ProDrive Aston Martin garages, and there were high fives all around there before the race ever started, saying, okay, guys, let's get after it, and may the better team win.
Ron made a curious comment last night, too, when we were talking about air conditioning of these vets, and he said that if he had an air-conditioned one, it might extend my career. So we don't know what's the
There's the Aston Martin team awaiting Piccini. Meanwhile, Chris Neville can fill us in on the 83 Porsche.
Bob, not a lot of information down here because the team says they cannot communicate with the 83 car right now. It is currently outside of radio range. So they're trying to talk to Porsche, have them look at the telemetry on the car, see if they can see anything on their computers, because right now they have no communication with that car. So might have to go back to one of Dorsey's pieces earlier on what kind of equipment they have in the car. I asked the team, did they have a cell phone? They said no. Right now we have no idea what's going on.
That would have been nice. No, nice to have a cell phone because it's an 8-mile circuit.
Right.
You know.
Or maybe a €100 note so that you can borrow somebody or buy it from them on the other side of the fence. So we could see a late race change in the GT2 class leadership. We'll stay on that story. I'll be back with more in Speed's continuing live coverage from Le Mans. Stay with us. Welcome back live to Le Mans. Coming up after our speed coverage of the 74th Michelin 24 Hours NASCAR Race Day, setting you up for Sunday in NASCAR Nextel Cup Racing. So be sure to stand by. Race Day coming up next here on Speed after Le Mans. There you see the time remaining, 1:18, and perhaps more importantly, the temperature, 30 degrees Celsius, about 87 degrees. And there's the number 83, the former GT1, well, still class-leading Porsche. That cycle Porsche being pushed behind the wall. It was just a few minutes ago. There it sits parked. Can't tell. The driver appears to be in the car, but obviously he's not working on the gearbox at the back. And we are just waiting now. The second place car is a Panos in the hands of Richard Dean for Great Britain, who is now just 5 laps behind that Porsche for the GT2 class leadership.
What a day that'll be, huh, for that Panos to come up there. Independent team coming through.
Get the champagne back out of the refrigerator, boys. There's the Flying Lizard crew from the United States. Boy, they have worked hard in this 24 hours. Johannes van Overbreek had his bicycle crash. The story we are told is that it was one of those Alphonse and Gaston routines where he's riding his bike up. A gate guard jumped out in front of him. Johannes went one way. The gate guard went that way. Van Overbeek went the other way. The gate guard went that way. Bottom line, Van Overbeek heads for the hospital with stitches. Patrick Long ran the car in qualifying. Seth Neiman has driven as well. And there they sit, getting all shined up for the final hour here at Le Mans. Currently running 18th overall and 4th in class. Patrick Long has been thrashing that car, trying to close a 3-lap gap and perhaps reach the podium at the expense of a Ferrari 430 GT in the hands of Chris Niarchos, a Greek-born Canadian, an experienced endurance competitor. They are still at least 5 seconds a lap faster, but they're going to need to pick up the speed considerably if they're going to get to that 3rd and final spot on the podium. There are the Pro Drive boys.
Obviously here they're about to do a pit stop. We see some tires being set out for the Aston. So they're anticipating the car coming back in. We're looking at the long straightaway. The Pescarolo's running together.
The 2 car that we're looking at is running way down the field. That's the Zytek, and it's down in a 26th spot. 262 laps in the book. Unfortunately, the leader's got 359, so it's some way off the pace. Is our number 2 car. Driven at the moment by Philip Anderson from Denmark. Everybody in this car's from Denmark, including John Nielsen, who we spoke to earlier on. Kasper Elgaard from Denmark. This has got a V8 4-litre engine, Zytek engine, but not their day today. And as John Nielsen said in his little talk, that it's a pretty new car, and they probably shouldn't have come. But as he said, until you come and start and try and do something, you know, it's kind of hard to get the development done. But obviously, the car is not ready for Le Mans yet.
Well, the LMP2 class isn't ready for Le Mans yet,
well.
as you know, they're built so light that they're a bit frail, and right now what you have is the walking wounded. Everybody taking their turn, fixing whatever problem they have back in the pit area, losing time to the other one.
Of course, the LMP2 car that everybody's talking about is the LMP2 Porsche that Roger Penske runs in the States, which won, or came first and second at the Mid-Ohio round just a few weeks back. And will that appear here next year? Don't know. Will Porsche want to be running a strong second to Audi, or a strong third to Audi and possibly Peugeot?
Well, there's certain places that LMP2 Porsche can win overall, as we've already seen it beat the Audi, but I don't think Le Mans
I don't think this is one of them. No.
will be the one that gets the job done.
Let's look at Frenchman Nick Manassian in the Pescarolo. We are on board now with an Audi, and it appears that Tom Christensen's incredible string of 6 consecutive overall victories here at Le Mans will come to an end today, but he remains the race's ultimate champion. Earlier this weekend, I had an opportunity to sit down with Tom and get his perspective on his phenomenal success at this great race. Tom, I want to take you back a year to this race last year. You win your record-breaking 7th Le Mans, and you come up on that podium, and I'm sure you've seen the television pictures. Sea of faces turned up and cheering. What went through your mind when you stepped out there on the podium?
a lot of things goes through your mind. It's a peak experience in your life. And obviously, yes, my little mind, but there's so much energy, so many people involved in having a victory at Le Mans. And last year, obviously, for Champion Racing, bringing the American flag back on top was a unique experience. It's like anything in life. If you can't share it with anyone, then success doesn't mean a lot.
So was that race perhaps the most special of the 7 victories for you here?
I have a phrase saying that you can't choose between your children, can you? And but without the first, the others wouldn't come probably. And 97 was the first time I really noticed the importance of the race by being here. I've not been here before. That was 1 week before the race. There was the rain in 2001. There was a traditional make driving with Bentley in 2003. But obviously last year, from what we had to do and from where we came from, and it was a real classic fight in a way. So it's the one I remember the most, I would say. But all are very important to me, and I have a lot of nuances and from all the races.
How has your life changed since you won Le Mans for the 7th time? Has there been a difference in your life back home and on the road?
Things has changed, but probably not as it will maybe even later. I don't know. But if you look back in the history, you know how much it means to be here, and you feel it when you're here. And I enjoy being here. And obviously, I'm aware of that. But we are in here with a new program. We're with a diesel engine, the TDI. And I'm here for a reason, and that's what I'm concentrating on. But for sure, I feel recognized, I feel respected, and of course, these are things I've fighted for since I was a little kid doing go-karts.
You're 38 years old now. How long do you see yourself doing this?
You know, I love motorsport, I love racing. That's what brought the motivation and brought me here in the first place. I still love to be a part of this process, of this unique atmosphere it is to be with real men in the racing world. And I love that, so I can't put any figures on. I can easily say 5 years, because that means that in 2 years' time you will have forgotten the answer.
Tom Christensen, a great guy. And we don't want to make it sound like his career is over, but guys, in this era of self-absorbed athletes, I can't think of anybody this side of Sebastian Loeb who had more press attention coming into this weekend and more pressure on him than Tom Christensen, and yet he could not have been more gracious. There you see the numbers. 7 victories.
Of course, in one of those shots in the background, we saw Michele Alboreto, who tragically lost his life in the development of the Audi R8 in testing crash, and obviously a huge part of that team. And is remembered.
Well, of course, it's a huge team effort to win here. There's no doubt about it. Everybody's got to do their part. But just look at that, 0.778% winning. I mean, 7 out of 9 he's won. But I think the other thing that we lose sight of, in America, you know, there's hundreds of sports heroes because there's 300 million people there. Can you imagine how Tom Christensen is treated in Denmark, which has got a population of a couple of million? I mean, he is going to be right there at the top of their whole social elite. I mean, he is going to be one of the #1 people in the whole country.
I think I read somewhere recently that he has been voted several times the most popular personality in Denmark. And the candidates included the Danish royal family. Nevertheless, a good day developing for Audi, and we'll be back with more live in a moment. The city of Le Mans is about a 3-hour drive southwest of Paris, and but for auto racing, it would be just another obscure French town. But back in 1906, the Automobile Club of the Sarthe was formed to organize the first race to be known as a Grand Prix. Over the years, the name of the club would change to Automobile Club de l'Ouest, or ACO, and its concept of Grand Prix racing would evolve into what we now know as Formula One. But it was the club's 24-hour race, first run in 1923, that would become what we now know as one of the greatest events in motorsports, attracting a crowd in the hundreds of thousands and a television audience in the millions. Which begs the question, what is it about Le Mans? For some, it's the circuit itself, which was and remains made up almost entirely of public roads, open to traffic the rest of the year.